Did you get that, America? Our savior, who's fighting for our very soul of this country, says if you're not on board with it, then basically you're the enemy. The President of the United States effectively told half the country last night, anybody who voted for Donald Trump is an extremist that is not part of what we are. Wow. I mean, this takes that whole deplorables comment from Hillary Clinton to like a whole new level here, folks. This is getting just downright scary. Hello, welcome to the program. Very good to have you here. I am Trish Regan. Please make sure you have subscribed on Apple iTunes, on YouTube, on Rumble, wherever you're getting this. Hit the subscribe button so you get this show every single day. It's important. Portions of today's program are brought to you by Legacy Precious Metals. There's never been a better time to invest in precious metals than now with all the inflation we have. So go to legacypminvestments.com for more. Again, legacypminvestments.com. We'll talk a little bit more about it a little bit later. But I'm insulted. I'm not just insulted, I'm frightened. I'm frightened only because, to me, this is a nation that has always prided itself on diversity of opinion, on freedom of speech. But it is very clear right now that that freedom of speech, our First Amendment, is under attack. Just take a look. If you have any doubt, just take a look at what Mark Zuckerberg said to Joe Rogan on his recent podcast. You know, the whole thing about, well, the FBI came to us and said that there were some issues and you didn't want that repeated because it happened in 2016. So they had issues about misinformation coming from foreign sources. So they suppressed stories that would have been otherwise relevant. You know what? That is an interference, if you would, between government and our freedom of speech. They're not allowed to do that. I don't know how they were able to and haven't been properly called out on it. I don't want you to forget about that. It's still going on, and it is very disturbing. So anyway, the whole idea now, I guess, is if you are on the left, you just paint the other side as a threat to democracy, effectively a kind of terrorist, and therefore you have the ability to make sure that they are censored. You have the ability to make sure that they are not heard. And that is the Democrats' political strategy. How shameful. How shameful. And I predict it will all backfire. It will backfire because, you see, when you put people into a corner like that, when you push them so far, you know what? They start to say, okay, I've had it. I don't like this. That's when they make a decision to actively go out and vote against you. Part of the methodology here by the Democrat Party is they think, okay, you know, the economy is not great. And let's face it, it's not. No matter what Joe Biden's trying to tell you, no matter how much he wants you to think he's getting gas prices and inflation under control, he's not. And he's going to make it worse with all this spending, this helicopter money to college graduates who can't pay their bills. Listen, he's making it worse. He knows the economy's bad. So what's he going to run on? How about this? Why don't you just run against Trump again? Right? By making anyone who's a conservative, well, they're the enemy. And so you've got to vote against the enemies. The soul of our nation is dependent on it. You see where this is going. And you see why I think it's going to backfire. Because I think people are like, well, wait a second, I'm not the enemy. My neighbor's not the enemy. We're just like normal people that, you know, really don't think that it's appropriate to operate on children who are not yet fully formed adults, who may be confused about gender, whatever they may be. They're not adults. We don't think it's really fair that you're not informing the parents of these decisions. I mean, these are natural reactions to have, and suddenly you're an extremist. I mean, if you think that there's inflation in the economy, remember for how long that was? You know, I'm fake news because I'm telling you that there's inflation in the economy. I'm fake news because I'm telling you that the classic definition of a recession is 2 quarters of negative GDP. Somehow that's not allowed. I mean, that's crazy to me. And I think it's crazy to every single American out there. And it is a direct, I'm going to use his words, direct assault on who we are as a nation. They're assaulting our First Amendment, and they think we're just going to go along with it. I mean, this is where they are so darn wrong. This is where they are so way off base. They try to divide and conquer, right? That's what this is all about. I mean, think about how they're almost trying to, well, not almost, they are trying to divide women and men on the abortion issue. That's what this is about. We got to get women. We got to get women. So we're going to divide them on that. Then they try to divide on race. And then they try to divide on income. It's their fault. It's those wealthy people, those billionaires' fault. I mean, I'm sorry, guys. You know what? If you actually cared about any kind of equity within the economic system, within our tax system, guess what? You would have actually closed the loophole that enables billionaire private equity investors to pay less percentage-wise in taxes than a New York City teacher. But you didn't do that, did you? No, you didn't, because those guys, they contribute a lot. And I say guys because there's no gals that are billionaire private equity executives that I'm aware of. They all contribute a whole lot of money to the campaigns. And so both sides, by the way, are in on that one. So the American people are consistently left out over and over and over again. And now Americans are saying, well, what was this whole FBI raid about? And as we've discussed, the president can unclassify documents. I mean, if they were classified, then you got to say, like, well, what was happening with the system within the White House, right? Where was the FBI? Where was the NSA? Where was the CIA? Where's the State Department? Why wasn't anybody doing their job? But he has the ability to unclassify them, and he's saying he did. And now they're making this whole big thing about that. Because the idea is, well, we'll get people to vote in November with the idea that the threat of Donald Trump is real. And even though he's not running, right? Like, he's not running. He hasn't said he's going to run for president yet. He's not running in November. But if we just convince them that anybody who's conservative, anybody who's part of the Republican Party, unless they're Liz Cheney or Mitt Romney, they are a threat to democracy, well, then that's home run. And I'm sorry, guys, it's not. I'm not a believer in that, because I just think that people, Americans, are way smarter than you ever give them credit for. And they know they've got a bad hand. They know they've got bad fundamentals in terms of what's going on overseas, in terms of what's going on at the border, in terms of what's going on with our economy. They know this is all really lousy. So they're trying to say, okay, well, how do we replicate what happened in 2020? How do we just make this not about policy, but about personality and the threat to the system? And so the idea is the Democrats are going to save y'all. Joe Biden, he is our savior. If he's our savior, why are we doing so badly? Why is the economy in such bad shape? Why do we get such a mess overseas? Why are we heading on some kind of path towards bigger problems, dare I say even war with China? And why are we so divided? Heck, I mean, wasn't he going to bring us all together? What happened there? All right, I'm just disgusted with all of it, with him, the politics of all of this, as we should be. By the way, Hillary Clinton never went through what Trump is going through right now. And didn't she actually bleach bit? Didn't she bleach bit her server? She knew that they were after whatever her emails were that she was keeping in a personal server. It's so political, and there's such a double standard, and that's not right, and it's not fair, and it's not who we are. But given all these challenges out there, I think it's really important that you protect yourself. And one of the ways to protect yourself is through investing in a diversified range of products, including, my belief, including gold. Take a look at it. It's one of those things that really helps to even out volatility. It helps to protect you against inflation, which I'm sorry, we're still getting plenty of. No matter what the Fed does, and it's going to have to do a lot. We still have a lot of inflation, so you want to protect those dollars for the future. One of the ways, again, is through gold. So take a look at gold. Call my friends. Great team there at Legacy Precious Metals. They can help hook you up either with the actual stuff or with a gold-backed IRA. Again, with the idea that you're going to protect your dollars for the future, because let's face it, $1 isn't what it used to be, right? In fact, $100, $1,000 is not what it used to be. So just imagine what it's going to be like a few years from now, 5 years from 10 years from now. If you're watching this on video, the number is there on the screen, 1-800-589-0560. LegacyPMInvestments.com is their website. You can get a free investing guide there at LegacyPMInvestments.com. Inflation is here. And no matter what Joe Biden wants to tell you, it's not going away. I mean, this is actually really serious stuff. But I'm offended by just the constant lies. And I felt like last night was a whole bunch more lies. That's not okay. Again, remember, we have certain rights thanks to our Constitution. And those rights are getting trampled upon in major ways. And they think it's okay. And they think we shouldn't care. But we do care, don't we? Tell me what you think in the comments below. Make sure you share this. Subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already on Apple. And do me the favor going over to Spotify as well. It's all free. Subscribe to it there as well. Make sure you get the word out. It's not okay what's happening right now. I don't care what you think, by the way, about Donald Trump. I don't care what you think about the GOP. As an American, you should be offended by what you heard. As an American, you should be frightened, because this is not, I repeat, who we are.